Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. Madonna releases disturbing photo shoot with Vanity Fair featuring dead babies and references to the occult. That's the new headline from Evie magazine. It describes how washed-up pop star Madonna's latest Vanity Fair Italia photo shoot depicts her as the Madonna, the Blessed Virgin Mary, but a demonic caricature of her. But what can you expect from a magazine literally named for vanity? A false Madonna in which she demands to be worshipped, something only reserved for God and not for any mortal creature. It's the exact opposite of what Mary, the handmaid of the Lord, did for Christ, and submitting to God's will perfectly and in all things, hence her exalted but not worship status. In fact, Mary's last recorded words in Scripture are at the wedding feast of Cana, where Christ performed his first miracle after his mother told those around her to do whatever he tells you. This is why she's our role model, loving Christ perfectly. And what did God tell us in the 10 Commandments? Thou shalt have no other gods before me. So going back to Madonna, this illness we have in our society of worshiping the self. She poses blasphemously in recreating the Last Supper and in having baby angels sewn into the bottom of her dress, which I don't know if that was an intentional reference to abortion, because some feminists salivate over the idea of their wombs being able to create or destroy new life based on their whims, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case here. The magazine also notes that, quote, Madonna has been accused of child trafficking by a charitable organization known as the Ethiopian World Federation. The EWF has asked Malawian President Lazarus Chakwera to restrict her and her associates' accessibility to Africa and to African children as a precautionary measure until a thorough investigation is done into child trafficking, sex exploitation, sexual slavery, adoption reversal, threat of coercion, fraud, deception, and abuse of power or vulnerability, end quote. Madonna has adopted 4 children from Malawi and founded a charity called Raising Malawi, which helps orphans and children in need through health and education programs. The EWF claims that Madonna created this organization in order to host social experiments on vulnerable children, African children in Malawi. Also citing photos of her adopted son David wearing women's clothing and makeup, they also allege that David's father wasn't actually absent when Madonna applied for his adoption, end quote. And that would fit in this post-Christian world we're living in. The charity that was once the hallmark of Christian society, just check the names of hospitals and universities for an idea of the scope of it, is now an inverted caricature of itself. Big charities becoming an influence peddling scam in many cases, turning Christian virtue on its head in the same way we've done to both womanhood and motherhood.